Hey guys, how you doing? Ron Zanut here. This is another video and build log for the Merlin SM8 case. This build is called Thunderstorm, and I'm going to be getting into the case today to mount all those fans and the hard drives and the fan controller. And just to get a closer look, that hard drive is underneath the Intel Cherry Stone 510 120 gig SSD. The hard drive is a 1 terabyte Samsung Spinpoint. And then the fan controller in this build is going to be the Aquaero. That's the LT version, and actually gets a heatsink added to the back of it. So that's something that we'll be installing and setting up as well. And so you see those beautiful fans there. Those are all the Bitfenix Spectre Pro LED fans. They are blue LEDs, and they're going to look great inside this case. Basically, those are part of the lighting. And then we also have in the back there some brackets that you need to mount fans in this case, but you'll get to see all that. And then the cables on the left are for when we actually install the motherboard tray and start cabling things up. Thanks to Case Labs for sponsoring the SM8 Merlin case, and for Performance PCs for sponsoring the Bitfenix Spectre Pro LED fans and the fan grills, and all of the awesome Bitfenix Alchemy and Centrals Pro Pack cables for the build. Well, let's get started. All right, so I plan on putting fans in the top of the case, up along here in the top, and then also in the front of the case. So let's get panels off so it's easier to install the fans and maneuver things around. So I'm just lifting the doors, popping them out of the thing and lifting them right off the hinges. Then from the lid as well, just popping off, just popping them right off. And then to get the front panel, these are secured in from the inside. This panel also pops off real easy as well. All right, so now we have easy access to the case to be able to get to the mount the fans in the top. You can also mount fans in the bottom if you wanted to. And I'm only saying fans right now because right now I'm just doing the air-cooled build. When I put radiator stuff in it, basically those same places that the fan mounts are being used are where I'll actually be installing radiators. But that's not this for now. And then to remove the panels and put fans in the front, these flex bays are what you need to be able to put fans inside of these spots here. And I could also move these down. I mean, you know, you're flexible. Just because these three large bay panels are here doesn't mean that's where I have to put the fans. It just happens to be that's where I want them this time. But so I'm going to go ahead and remove those so that we can easily do that. I'm going to remove all of the internal panels. All right, now all these panels just come right out. You saw I took the first top two out. They all mount on these studs. Those are all guide pins that actually hold them in place. And as I said, you can actually put them in any orientation. So I moved, here's one where I moved the 3 5¼ inch slots, that large panel up to the top. And so now I could put these in any other orientation, but that's not what I want for now. It's just to get it to the point where I can put the flex fan mount in the front. And then in the top, I have a drop-in mount, and this is a drop-in mount. So this panel with these 6 screws will allow me to remove this drop-in mount, and so that'll make it easy for me to install the fans on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'll have the drop-in mount and then the 3 flex bays to mount the fans in, and then I'm going to drop them right back into the mount them right into the case. So let's go ahead and remove the drop-in mount from the top. Now the drop-in mount is an option. Otherwise you could get it as the fixed base, just like this one at the bottom. It has panels where each of the fans would go, but it's the whole base is the one stamped and painted piece, whereas this top piece on this one here is just basically the frame on the outside, and then allows you to mount whichever drop-in mount you want. You can get it for 340 millimeter fans, or I've got the one that's 4 120s. Okay, so here we have the fan mount, and you notice there's a space in the front here for this drop-in mount. That allows you to run your cables through. So in this one I'll be mounting the fans underneath this panel, but you can get a pedestal, not a pedestal, you can get a riser that sits on the top that you actually can put radiators in and other things. So you'll need an access point to put your cables and your tubing through. And so if you're filling up all of this space with fans or a radiator, then you have an access point to bring your cables through. So, all right, so that's it for need of the case right now. Now it's time to arrange to mount the fans in the flex fan base. Okay, now that we have the case down out of the way, we're going to use the bench space now to mount the fans to the drop-in mount, and also to the flex bay for the front of the case. And we also have some grills as well to clean them up and protect them, and I think I might even paint them too. So we'll take a look and see what it looks like inside there, and maybe get your feedback on it as well. So let's go ahead and mount some fans. All right, I'm going to go ahead now and mount the Spectre Pro LED blue fans to the drop-in mount, and I just need to remember I got to run the cables up to the front where the fan controller is going to be. So pretty straightforward. Let's take out a fan, smoke gray around the outside, and blue with the black cables all lined up, and it also has the little jumper for the LED. You can turn the LEDs on and off. And I think, well, I'm curious, the Aquaero has a feature where you can control LEDs, but I don't know if it'll control something like this. I'll have to take a look. Otherwise, I've got to put together a little switch panel inside the case so that I have the capability to turn off the LEDs if I want to. So I did buy something for that, but I got to take a look at it further to see if that works. But anyway, let's get these fans mounted. I love that BitPhoenix includes black screws. Even though you're not really going to see these screws, I do like the fact that they're black, so I do build the contrast between the black and the white and the blues. Everything's good. None of this, no silver or chrome looking screws in the top here. It matches everything else. So, and then we'll mount the fans into these front flex bay mounts next. All right, got the airflow figured out. We're going to blow down into the case from the outside world. So this is the way they need to be mounted. Now we're going to go ahead and mount one of the Spectre Pro LEDs inside of the flex base. Now again, we're going to be blowing air into the case, so the fan's going to be mounted like this. They'll be touching, so let's see here. It will provide space for the fan cable to come out and run up. Alright, so let's try to install it like that. So I know I'm going to have the fan mounted inside of the case facing up. Now the one thing I don't plan for right now is fan filter. DCM Flex, I believe, is the company that makes filters that are magnetic, and also have an adhesive piece that you can, that has the metal side to it, so that you can stick it to that. So I'm going to currently set it up like this. I'll have to take a look at fan filters, but they're going to be mounted like this, and I may have to put a fan filter on the inside, which is what I've done before on my STH10 case. So you can't see the fan filter at all. It does mean I have to remove it, but since it's magnetic, I can just slip the filter off of it. But that's a different video. So let me go ahead and mount the fan here. And also, these the flex bays actually have anti-vibration mounts on them right here. So any vibration that this fan could be transmitting is going to get dampened by the way Case Labs designed the flex bay for fans. All right, I'm going to do that now for the other two. Again, my case is going to have positive pressure, so I have the airflow going through the front. Number 2 and number 3. All right, we have the fans mounted to the flex bays and to the drop-in mount. Now I'm going to see if I can mount the drop-in mount and see if these fan guards look good, or if there's any interference between these and the top lid that goes over these guys. So let's take a look. All right, so I think I'm going to go with the grills on there. It looks nicer and cleaner, and it is protected. If I remove the roof of the SM8 and try to put anything down on there, I don't want it falling into the case. So, and now next I'm going to, while I have them here and out, I'm going to address the cables up along to be able to reach the fan controller. So I'm going to, I've got some adhesive clips and tie wraps that I'm going to use to secure the cables and run them down up to where they're going to go into the case where the fan controller is. So let's get all these splayed out. Now it's nice that they're all black and they're going to be up and out of the way. I think I might just all right, what I did is and I'm going to address these better, but I got some clips. These are 3M clips that I have that are self-adhesive on one side, and I have all the cables running through the clips and down to the end here, and then from there I've got to tie them back and connect them up to some Bitphoenix Alchemy fan splitter cables that are sleeved, and that's what you'll see. You'll see those cables running down into the case. These are going to be up and out of the way back in the corner, so you won't see these at all. So that's why I didn't sleeve these here. All right, I have them all cables run right now. Again, now these are going to be back out of the way. So when you're looking into the case from the windowed side, all you're going to see is the fans up to here, and you might, if you look up underneath, you'll see those. Now this is going to be sticking out in the area underneath the case that you can see, so I'm going to go ahead and sleeve this. I just tie wrap them all up so that they're all the same length apart, and then I have some Alchemy 4 fan splitter cable that is going to connect up to this, and that's sleeved. So that's going to look nice and finished as it runs to the fan controller in the case. So right now I'm going to go ahead and get some heat shrink and some sleeving and take care of this little bundle right here. Let's see how that looks. All right, got some heat shrink and some sleeving, and I bundled up all of the cables so that they were about the same length, and I have all the connectors hanging out. And I put some heat shrink tubing on either side to clean up the ends. And then this is where I'll be connecting up the 4-way to 1-way splitter. And so in the case, it'll be mounted like this in the case, so you won't really see these, although that's not bad. I can do a better job, but that's not so bad, dressing the cables there. Using some self-adhesive 3M tie wrap cable clips. And then I use one of those cable clips on the front as well to be able to tie wrap this bundle here. So they'll be mounted in the case and be up and out of the way. I don't think you're going to see it. Now these will have to dress once I'm in the case. They get mounted into the front, so I'm going to have to manually go in and dress these cables and see if I can slide them all up inside here or around the back and do the same thing. And those will probably have to be dressed up to the fan controller. We'll see what they look like and see if they need any sleeving on the inside. I like it that they're black, but so that's it for right now. All right, guys. Well, now we have the flex bay mounts mounted with the fans, and we have 3 of them. Now what we're going to do next is mount those into the front of the case, and then we're going to also mount put the drop-in mount in the top, and then start looking at mounting the fan controller, Aquaero fan controller, and also I have a little an LED board. I mentioned that I'm going to create my own switch to turn the fan LEDs on and off, so I got to figure out a place for that. So let's get into that now. The first thing I'm going to do is mount the flex bay fan mounts, and then in order to mount them, basically, actually probably what I should do is start from the bottom, is put them in. And let me get a close-up for you. All right, so what we're going to do is mount the first one, and I have the fan cables out here. I'm going to have to actually add the LED cables as well and dress them. But basically, you do is you put them on here and you line them up with the mounting holes. Now these have the rubber grommets on them, and then you'll notice these pins right here. These 2 pins are the ones that on either side that allows you to kind of to line them in. So I didn't even have to screw this in yet, but they're that one's already installed. And actually, probably what I'll do is tack it in with a couple of screws. And these are the screws that you would use to mount them from the outside. And there are 4 for each of these mounts, but I'm just putting 2 in for right now. All right, and it's nice that Case Labs actually put this area right here for the cable to drop out, because I'm going to have to run the cables up the side. I think I'm going to mount the fan controller up in this area up here, so I don't have to undo them again. And adding the third one. We have the third one now mounted in there, and the last extension cable for the LED in this fan. Pull off the jumper. All right. So I have them all secured in there. All right, and let's see, the LED mount is it's a Mod Smart mount, and I put some Velcro on the back. It does come with double-sided tape, but look, I'm sure I'm going to want to remove it and may use it again. So I've got that ready, and I believe it's going to go here. But now what I need to do is we'll put the drop-in mount just to get a feel for where the Aquaero switch fan controller is going to be mounted. Probably mount it right here, just above this fan. I believe that's going to be the best, but this Aquaero has to be assembled. There's some brackets and things that are needed, so I'll show you that here in a minute. But first, let me put the drop-in mount and rejig you so you can see. All right, so I have the drop-in mount. The fan's mounted here. I have the fan cables from these four tie-wrapped up here, and then I have the LED cable connections here. And all I'm going to do is put it in place. There are some screws to secure it. I'm just going to go ahead and just tack it down for right now. All right. So we have the fans in there. We have this fan cable that we're going to run to the not fan cable. Those are the LEDs off the fan, so we're going to run those over here. And then I have some of the Alchemy extensions that are going to go from the fans connections up to the controller. So next, let me mount the controller, and that way we can start looking at how we're going to wire up the all the cables. So you can see here I have fan cables coming down, and then the fan and the LEDs for each of these fans coming out. So let me mount those, and we'll have a look. Here's a look from the front with the base all mounted. From the side, and then from the top down. So really the space in this case, being able to remove the panels from it is makes it so easy to put in. Of course, it's aluminum. This thing is so light. So let's get the Aquaero out and assembled, and then let's place them in the rig. Now I also have a bar that I can mount either long ways or from the top to the bottom that you can actually hang things off of. So since there's nothing but fans here in this particular build right now, this all space is not used, so I might consider mounting it from there if putting it up here doesn't work well. But the way I've cabled this up, try to keep it up out of the way, I think I'm just going to leave it in this area here. But I think that bar is going to come in handy in the next build when we water cool stuff. Okay, let's take a look at the Aquaero. Hey guys, we have the Aquaero fan controller. This particular one is the Aquaero LT version. It does not have any of the displays at all, though you can add the remote control and all these. But anyway, I just thought I'd do a little unboxing for you here before I actually put it together and use it. Let's see what we got inside the box. Oh, well, let's take a look around the outside of the box. Basically, it just says it's a programmable four-channel fan controller. You can get it with the backlight display. It's at USB 2.0, 4 fan outputs with current measurement. You have versatile control options, 8 temperature sensor inputs, flow sensor input, universal IR receiver, except for this model. The output for the infrared transmitter. There's 3 LED outputs, potential free switch, or a pot free switch, and 2 additional power outputs. It's got extensive alarm options, acoustical alarms, speed signal output for status evaluation, expandable to a maximum of 10 fan channels. And I'm going to, if they can handle 30 watts per channel, I'm going to be using 2 of them. So let's take a look at what's in the box. Okay, we have the manual. User installation manual, the Aquaero 5. All right. We have, now I don't know if I put these in the box. This is a tack signal. So I'm going to be using this water cooling, some mounting screws. Okay, this comes with it. USB interface cable. This is a thermal probe or thermal sensor. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 that come in the box, and then the only other thing in the box is the controller itself. All right, let's take a look at the Aquaero LT. This is the only one that I got. This is the controller right here. It does not have the LCD interface, although this is the same card you get on the one with the Aquaero with the LCD. I believe that's the Pro or the XT. And you can actually see there's a connection right here which would plug in the interface for the display. But we take you around the card now. This is the main power, Molex 4-pin Molex power. Then you have 3 fan connections here. Each one of these runs up to 1.65 amps. So you can definitely load them up with a lot of fans on there. So it's about 20 watts per channel, I think it says. Yeah, but up to 1.65 amps. Now to do that, you're going to need to put a heat sink on these guys. I would not attempt to try to run that without a heat sink. And I did buy the actual heavy-duty heat sink. Well, mounting it the way I had it before was not the best way to do it. Actually, when I had the controller mounted on the inside of the brackets that you get for it, these brackets then, how you would have to mount the screw on the outside, and then there's no way when you mount these connectors to it, there's no way to keep it from interfering with the front panel. So you could not mount it the way I wanted to and install it with these brackets. Maybe you could do that in some, well, I'm not sure how you'd be able to do it in any other case. These brackets have the mounting points, 2 small mounting points, and even if I look to use the long ones, I could mount it like that if I put it on the outside ones, but then it would still be out about this far inside the case. So this is the way I'm going to do it. Now let's get it mounted up inside the case, and I'm going to mount it in the very top position, so all the cables come right down to it. And then in this slot I'm going to mount a blank panel that I'm going to mod to add the LED switch. So all I do is line up the holes just like I did in the other ones, and then secure it with the same screws that come with the case. So we have the controller mounted, ready to be cabled up. The switch that I got did not arrive today, so I'm going to have to add the LED switch, but I'm going to go ahead now and dress and cable up the fans so that I can then plug them into the fan controller. And I have some cable extensions from Bitphoenix Alchemy 3-to-1 cable extensions, and so I'm going to use those to connect up the fan from the top and from the bottom to 2 of the 4 fan connections on the Aquaero. So, and then I also have the case fan that I'm going to have to cable up. So I will do that as each of them are installed, but right now I'll take care of these 7 fans in the system. Now you see quite a bit of cabling here. It's a bit of a mess. Each fan, of course, has the fan power, and it has the LED extension that I put on it. Now you may be thinking, okay, he's going to sleeve those. Well, if I was going to keep this case built like this for a long time, I probably would. But since this case is going to be used for a water-cooled build next, I'm going to be taking the stuff out. And if I have to remove any one of these fans for whatever reason, I was originally going to sleeve the, all of the LED ones together, kind of like I did up here, and then the power ones together as they come up. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hide them out of the way behind the side of each of these. So what I'm going to do is I have these little clips that I use, and I'm going to mount those back here behind each of these fans, and then I'm going to run the cables behind them. So they're going to sneak all the way up. You might see some of the cables here, and then they're going to disappear behind the controller. And then we'll plug them into the appropriate ports on the fan controller. So that's what I'm going to wind up doing here. And I'm going to mount these clips and then connect the cables, and then we'll see how it looks then. But I have all the fan power from the 3 fans all connected up to this harness right here, and that's going into fan 1 on the Aquaero, and that actually is 4 fans. Oh, that's 3 fans from the 3 at the bottom, and then this one right here is coming from the top where I have the 4 fans connected into this one here. So I have 3 on fan 1 and 4 on fan 2. And then the only one that's left will be the one coming off the back of the motherboard tray for the case, and then we'll just put that into all by itself in number 3. And we have a nice long extension, I believe, to do that. We'll see. Should be fine. All right, so now I'm going to do is tidy up these LED connections, and then let's figure out where we're going to mount the LED board. It's actually stuck into this little mount, and that mount, the adhesive came off, so I'm just going to push it back in. So maybe, if this will stay, this gets mounted right here. Now, I don't have any plans for any other cables running through that right now. This is a hard drive mount up here. This is SSD mount right below it. And there's another hard drive mount. So I think if I run this right here, I can run power to it, and it's out of the way. So let's make that part of the plan right now. All right, we have the LED board mounted out the back of the case, and what you will see. All right, so we have the fans installed. We have the LEDs all connected to an LED power connector. I still have to run the power to that and a switch, but that's all ready to go. All right, so now what we have is the fans in the top drop-down mount mounted, and the cabling all run. The fans in the front flex base all mounted, and all the cabling run up. We've connected them to 2 3 to 1 pin Alchemy Bitphoenix cable adapters, splitters. And we have them all running to the Aquaero fan controller onto fan 1, 4 of them on fan 1, or 3 of the front fans on fan 1 and 4 on fan 2. And we also have all of the LED power for the LEDs and the fans wired up and connected out through the case to the back to the ModSmart fan power connector, and then the only thing we'll have to do is add the power cable to that when it comes in, and install the switch in the front. So next what we can do is mount the SSD and the hard drive. And those get mounted in these spots right here. Now these cables will come off because these are going to be mounted to the motherboard. just as soon as we arrange to put that in. So let's get the hard drive and the SSD ready to rock and roll. So Case Labs gives you a bag of anti-vibration mounts with screws to mount your hard drive. So I have here, let's see if you can see one of these guys up close. It's just a big round rubber washer, grommet style with two with a slit around it, so that you can actually mount right into your right here into the bracket. So I just slide 4 of them in. So I have these 4 mounted, and they give you a screw, the flathead to put through them. So I'm going to take my hard drive, slide it, and they measured it perfectly, so it's got a friction fit right where the when the hard drive slides in. So this is not going anywhere right now. So now I take my screw. All right, now that we have the SSD installed and the hard drive installed, what we're going to do is mount the power supply, and then after that it's going to be time for motherboard tray, and we can start cabling the system to the motherboard and connecting power. Let's get power supply mounted. All right, what we want to do now is mount the power supply into the Merlin. And in order to do that, you have this, the power supply. It is removable tray. In case you wanted to move it up here to the top of the case. But I'm not going to have it up here. I'm going to keep it down at the bottom. So I'm just going to look to place it. And I'm just going to place it face up. Into the case, and I have the screws from Corsir. So I went ahead and just installed the power supply. I did not have to remove the bracket since I'm not going to move it. It did not have to come out. I decided to mount it with the fan facing up. In order to mount it facing down properly, I would have to remove this panel down here and put have it open and put a filter, which I do have, but I have decided to mount it like this. It actually looks pretty good, and if I find the orientation for connecting things up in the power cables is better the opposite way, I will do that. But it's currently set like this, and they did a nice job at Corsir. If you do flip it over, they actually put the label, they were smart enough to put the label so it also reads just like this. Some power supplies have the labels the same on both sides. If you flip them upside down, the lettering's upside down. But they didn't do that, and if you haven't seen the review on the power supply that I did, just an overview and unboxing, you'll see that as well. Now I think it's time for sliding the motherboard tray in. Still so much more room in that case. Looks good though. Alright, so let me mount the fan to the back of the motherboard tray, and then we'll reinstall it. You can see how close. I mean, it just slides right in. It just makes it. So Fantex PE. Fantex cooler will fit in a Merlin's case perfectly on the motherboard tray. Just thought you'd like to see that. All right, so now we have the power supply installed, motherboard tray, the fans. I actually added the cabling and the heat shrink and the sleeving to the chassis fan in the back on the motherboard tray, so you can see that running out to the back. We have the front bay fans installed, the fans in the top installed, the Aquaero fan control installed, and all of the cables connected up to the Aquaero. And also for all of the LEDs on the fans, we have all of those cabled up to the ModSmart power board. And here is the sleeving, the last fan that I mounted and temporarily tied up in the back here. And the SSD installed, and the hard drive is installed. So I think we're at a good point to stop for this video. I hope you like the progress in the build. This is the Merlin Case Labs case, SM8, codename Thunderstorm is the name of the build. And I hope you liked it. If you did, please like and favorite, and if you're so inclined, please subscribe. That's it for now, and thanks for watching.